Good afternoon. You're watching the English newscast on Future Television. I'm Yumna Naufal, and these are today's top stories. Saad Hariri secures a parliamentary majority to be named Lebanon's new prime minister designate in the first day of consultations between Michel Aoun and the country's leaders. The Council of Maronite Bishops calls for the swift formation of a government that is efficient and capable of meeting Lebanon's needs. And President Vladimir Putin orders a 10-hour truce on Friday in the war-ravaged Syrian city of Aleppo. Saad Hariri, the former prime minister, has secured a parliamentary majority to be named Lebanon's new prime minister designate in the first day of consultations between President Michel Aoun and the country's political leaders. By noon, 65 of the country's 127 members of parliament had nominated former Prime Minister Saad Hariri to the post of Prime Minister. He needs 65 votes to reach the position. Former Prime Minister Najib Mikati and former premiers followed in for separate talks with Aoun to name their nominee. Mikati said that Aoun's oath after his elections as the country's 13th president complies with aspirations and proposals. He also named Hariri for the post. Hariri is widely expected to be named premier after Aoun wraps up 2 days of binding consultations with various parliamentary blocs to poll them on their choice for a prime minister. And in Kirke, the Council of Maronite Bishops are calling for the swift formation of a government that is efficient and capable of meeting Lebanon's needs. Bishops attending the council's monthly meeting praised rival Lebanese factions for reaching an agreement that ended the country's 2.5-year presidential void. The bishop said the election of Michel Aoun comes at a crucial stage and calls on the newly elected president to reunite the Lebanese, in particular the rival parties. The statement urged rivals to agree on a new electoral law to better represent the Lebanese and rejuvenate the political scene. Aoun on Monday launched a series of consultations with Lebanon's top leaders to name a new prime minister. President Vladimir Putin is ordering a 10-hour truce on Friday in the war-ravaged Syrian city of Aleppo, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. Rebels launched a major assault to break the siege of Aleppo, but have been met this week by fierce resistance from regime forces. Aleppo has been hit by some of the worst violence in Syria's 5-year conflict, turning the once bustling economic hub into a divided and bombed-out city. Defense Ministry Sergei Shoigu said Tuesday that Russia had seized airstrike on eastern Aleppo for 16 days following criticism over a Russian-backed Syrian government assault that has killed hundreds of civilians and destroyed infrastructure, including hospitals. The halt in bombing was initially declared ahead of a short ceasefire that ended last month. Moscow at the time ruled out a truce extension. And more than 1 million civilians in Mosul in Iraq are in grave danger, and aid workers are bracing for the worst, according to a relief group saying this after Iraqi forces reached the extremist-held city. Gunfire echoed across the village of Gogjali on the edge of Mosul as elite Iraqi forces nearby continue a push that had brought them to within a few hundred meters of the city's eastern edge. Just over 2 weeks into the offensive to retake Mosul, the last Iraqi city under the control of ISIS, Iraq's military said its forces had penetrated city limits by entering a southeastern neighborhood. There were no signs yet of a major push inside Mosul itself, and on other fronts, Iraqi forces are still some distance from the city. Tehran's notorious former chief prosecutor Saeed Mortzavi have been sentenced to 135 lashes for misappropriation and waste of public money while head of Iran's welfare program. Mortazavi was sentenced to 70 lashes for misappropriation of public goods and 65 lashes for negligence and waste of public goods, according to a lawyer for workers at the Social Security Organization who brought the case against him. A close ally of hardline former President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, Mortazavi became a hate figure among Iranian reformists during his 6 years as chief prosecutor for shutting down dozens of reformist publications and jailing journalists. He was suspended in 2010 after Parliament held him responsible for the deaths of at least 3 anti-government protesters during the previous year's mass demonstrations against Ahmadinejad's controversial re-election. Coming up next, we continue with the U.S. election. Less than a week until the big day. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. A young man stabbed 2 female students at their high school in Western Canada, killing one and wounding the other, who was hospitalized in stable condition, according to police. The incident took place in Abbotsford on the U.S. border, some 70 kilometers east of Vancouver, with the attacker arrested on the spot. City Police Chief Bob Bridge told broadcaster CBC the school and an adjacent middle school were locked down as a precaution, police said. Officials did not release the identities of the victims or the attacker. But the CBS cited Bridge as saying the attacker did not appear to be a student at the school and may not have had any connection to the victims. And on to the United States, where in the state of Iowa, 2 police officers were shot and killed in the city of Des Moines. It's an area in a separate ambush-style attacks. Now, 1 officer was found dead at about 1 a.m. local time in Urbandale, a suburb of Des Moines. The second officer was found dead about 1:30 local time, about 5 kilometers between him and the first one. The shootings appear to have been ambush-style attacks, a statement from the police department said. But both officers were shot in their squad cars about 5 kilometers apart. U.S. President Barack Obama is urging voters to lend their support for Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton. The president at a campaign rally in Columbus, Ohio, admitted his former Secretary of State had made mistakes during her time in public service, but said she was a fundamentally good and decent person who would make an outstanding president.
These are not equal candidates. There's only one who's actually worthy of your vote, who is smart, who is steady, who is tested, whose heart is in the right place, who is probably the most qualified person ever to run for this office, and that is Hillary Clinton. Has she made mistakes? Of course, so have I. There's nobody in the public arena over the course of 30 years that doesn't make some. But she is a fundamentally good and decent person who knows what she's doing and will be an outstanding president. You have to stand up, reject cynicism, reject fear, reject meanness, choose hope, 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 vote. Vote! Vote! If you do, we will elect Hillary Clinton president. We'll elect Ted Strickland senator. And we will continue this amazing journey, and we will finish what we started and show the rest of the world why this is the greatest country on earth. God bless you, Ohio. I love you. God bless the United States of America. Let's get to work.
U.S. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump is urging people who voted early for his Democratic rival to cancel their ballots and switch to him. He and other Republicans have seized on the FBI Director James Comey's announcement, which did not indicate any wrongdoing by Clinton, to ratchet up criticism of the Democratic candidate. She leads in most opinion polls ahead of the November 8 election, but several states, including those cited by Trump, have a process to allow voters who cast early ballots to change their votes, either by submitting new ballots or showing up at their polling place on Election Day.
As you know, the FBI has reopened its investigation into Hillary Clinton. This is the biggest scandal since Watergate. And now it's been reported that there are FBI inquiries probing virtually all of Hillary Clinton's inner circle. Has our country ever had a situation like is going on right now? Have we ever had anything like it? This is a good time to make an important public service announcement, because a lot of things have happened over the last few days. This is a message for any Democratic voter who have already cast their ballots for Hillary Clinton and who are having a bad case of buyer's remorse. In other words, you want to change your vote. Wisconsin is one of several states where you can change your early ballot if you think you've made a mistake. A lot of stuff has come out since you voted. So if you live here, or in Michigan, or Pennsylvania, or Minnesota, those 4 places, you can change your vote to Donald Trump will make America great again, okay? She is not going to make America great again. God bless you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a reminder of our headlines. Saad Hariri secures a parliamentary majority to be named Lebanon's new prime minister designate in the first day of consultations between ON and the country's political leaders. The Council of Maronite Bishops in Kirkuk called for the swift formation of a government that is efficient and capable of meeting the country's needs. And President Vladimir Putin orders a 10-hour truce on Friday in the war-ravaged Syrian city of Aleppo. Those are your Wednesday headlines live on Future Television. I'm Yumna Nofad signing off. Have a good night.